Frank Lampard was, 41 when he was let go back in January? This from Jorginho about his former manager. I believe, given he was a legend at the club, he skipped some steps necessary for learning before moving to a big club. I think he came too soon, skipped a few steps ahead, and wasn't ready for a job at this level. Craig, fair point?
Oh, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Frank Lampard came in after a year at Derby County with Jody Morris, did a very good job there, got to the Championship playoff final. We talked about, a lot relentlessly on the show that he was coming in because it was going to appease the fans at the time. It was going to be a period where they had a transfer ban, and so the pressure was kind of off somewhat at that period, and he got them in the top four, so that gave them a bit of encouragement. But I don't think there's any doubt that, had anybody else managed in the Championship for 1 year and had not played for Chelsea, you wouldn't have got the Chelsea job. So I think there is obviously some truth to what Jorginho is saying. I'm just interested to know if he had that conversation with Lampard when he was the manager. Oh, hi Frank, am I playing this week? By the way, you got this job too early.
Stevie, was that the problem with Frank Lampard at Chelsea? Was it experience?
Listen, clearly we all know what led up to Frank getting the job. And I have no problem with that. I think in the time that Frank was there, most of the time, he was correct in what he did. He got them in the top four without a transfer window. Great job. They started to see the 17-game unbeaten run, top of the league, and then yes, they had a horrendous spell. But what manager hasn't had a horrendous spell? And he gets thrown out because it's Chelsea. So, I understand anybody thinking that way. What I don't like, though, is it's coming from a player. If this was coming from an older head, an older coach, an experienced coach who could look at the body of what Frank did and kind of pinpoint little mistakes that were down to experience, then I would be okay with this. But the fact is coming from one of the players who I don't think was particularly great under Frank, and I don't think Frank particularly rated him. I just don't like it, because players have got no idea what coaching's all about. It is absolutely the opposite and nothing to do with what you do as a player. And so I just hate it that players come out and say things like that. And okay, if somebody asks you the question, I always say it. You don't have to answer it. You just say, I'm a player, I'm not sure. But don't go criticising when you don't know anything about what you're criticising somebody for.
You got a problem with what Jorginho said, Craig?
I mean, there is some truth in what he's saying, but I don't have a problem. If people want to speak, that's up to them, right? If people want to say things, that's their choice. Some players have more of a problem with certain managers than others. Frank Lampard will say what every manager and coach says. Given time, I would have turned it around. As Stevie said, they had a cracking start to the season. Then it sort of fell apart from a little bit. Everybody was out of form. Some of those players are still out of form, like Timo Werner. But somehow Thomas Tuchel is finding a shape, and he did change the shape of the team to get results without it being spectacular to watch. But at the end of the day, Lampard was at a club that hire and fire managers for fun. So he knew the drill, and I'm sure he's not fussed one iota with what Jorginho had to say.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.